want to do the semi-glutide.
Why not? You look at yourself in the screen, you think you're too big?
No, I do. I just shared with Jeff. I
Yeah.
guess between him and I, that's how I know we're great friends. He changed this whole setup up.
Mm-hmm.
And it used to be a table, and I would sit there, and he'd sit here, and I could, like, sit there and feel, like,
Blocked,
like we're having a meeting,
like you were,
blocked. Thank you. Yeah, you
like
could just
you were
see,
hidden.
like, from my tits up,
Yeah, the
Right?
good
yeah,
stuff.
the good stuff. There you go. And then he
because when you're bigger, you
Yeah.
know, like these get bigger, so it's nice. I mean,
they're
you want to feature 'em.
memories.
Yeah.
They're not they're memories.
They're
anyway,
manneries.
so he switches this up, and I was like, daggone, man. And I love Jeff. He produces the show.
He's a
He's
good
amazing.
dude. I can
And
tell
I was
already.
like, well, I'm just gonna follow your lead because you know what you're doing here. And I sat there and I shot one with Alyssa Cox from Sea Ray Pools. She was here.
I'm
And
sitting in Alyssa Ray Cox
yes,
chair.
Yes, right
Oh
there.
my
And you can
God.
take that home with you if you want.
I'd love to have it.
level
Let her
two,
know. I'm taking her
Level
chair.
2, I don't know if they'll bill us. I don't know. Our budget's small. But yeah, so he changed it here and he gave me a few shots and it's just like right here.
Yeah.
I'm like, dude, I look like a bloated frog.
Yeah,
sitting
and
in a
you-
chair.
and the
so I found
camera-
it on the internet. I did a side by side and I texted it to him. I'm like, thanks a lot. And he goes, yeah, I'm ordering some tables to cover that up. So I'm like,
Yeah.
well, I'm going on a massive diet, but you've had some luck with
We do through the radio show. It's called Affinity Whole Health.
Yeah.
And they specialize in semaglutide and hormone therapies and things. But for me, it was just about losing weight.
Yeah.
And I like terrible cholesterol and
Yeah.
overweight my entire adult life, could never get it off. And then this medicine's like magic medicine.
Really?
Yeah. It just like helps you. I didn't believe it either. You know, I'm like, how I'm going to want to eat. I'm going to want to eat. I've always wanted to eat. I
Yeah, me
eat the
too.
shit out of everything. I
Same.
will just go to town.
Yeah.
And like lunch was my thing because I didn't really eat breakfast, but I would go crazy. Lunch and a snack. And this cuts it off. It's just like all of a sudden you're just like, ugh, I don't really want food,
Yeah.
but I'll eat because I need some energy or something.
Yeah.
And that's it. And then all of a sudden you're just like dropping some pounds. A couple months into the medicine, you're just like, oh, the weight's coming off because you're just not eating
Really?
like you used to eat. And it does not like you're changing your diet either. You're doing like still eating chicken wings, but instead of 16, you're eating like 4 and going, oh, I'm good. Yeah,
4?
can you
That's like
imagine a world where you only eat 4?
That's a start. That's a good start for me. 4 chicken wings.
Yeah.
So yeah. Anyway, we didn't even get to start the intro, but I think this is a cool way of starting. This is Will. And can you pronounce your last name?
It's Pfaffenberger.
Okay.
Pfaffenberger, yeah.
Yeah. I always said Pfaffenberger.
Everybody did. Everybody does.
We just had a Christmas party over at your place at Red Curb, and Carrie corrected me. She's like, "Did you know his last name is really?" However you said it correctly,
Yeah.
I said no, and I've been saying it wrong. I think Dave on the show says it wrong. I don't know.
He's been saying that wrong. I've been working on the show for 15 years. He still
Yeah.
says it wrong.
Yeah.
He doesn't care.
So welcome
Nobody
to,
cares. It's
welcome
fine.
to the show,
Jeff,
by the
it's
way.
fine. You can
So
say
Will,
whatever you want to.
Will from the Smiley Morning Show is here. Thank you very much for
Yeah.
being here. Also the owner of Red Curb Comedy.
Yeah.
This is Learning to Fly is an entrepreneurial based podcast. It's a personal development, leadership, and fun and life, really.
And look at the badass logo. I hadn't seen this yet. That is an eagle soaring above a mountain.
We're still open to naming the eagle.
Really?
Yeah, it's an open sponsorship, to be honest with you.
Yeah.
If Red Curb would like to sponsor,
I think it'd be named Bash or something, right? Shouldn't
Bash is my nickname.
Yeah, I feel
maybe
like
we
Bash
could
the Eagle.
call it Bash.
Has anybody pitched ideas?
Well, nobody. I don't even know if anybody listens to the show. Nobody comments.
But I mean, guess Lisa.
Well, I think
who
it's-
from the pool lady? Did she pitch it?
Alyssa.
Oh, I'm so
Alyssa.
sorry.
No, that's all right.
Sorry, Alyssa.
She'll
I
probably
love
email you and be able. Oh, she's cool as hell. They're all cool. No, but nobody's noticed the eagle but you. So thank you.
No, it's badass. I feel like I'm in a biker gang.
I want to give a shout out to Stephanie. She does, and I'm gonna get her name wrong. Niederjohn, I think. I get everybody's last names wrong unless it's like Smith or Jones. But she spent about 3 weeks making that logo.
That's very cool.
I said, this is kind of what I want, and she made it. So, yeah, learning to
that
fly.
should be on the back of a leather vest.
Well, it's funny you say that.
Really?
Christmas is coming, bro.
Really?
I mean, you might be the first guy. Jen, are you listening? I need this patched on the back of a leather vest and get it to Will.
Yeah, if anybody can
ASAP.
do it, she can.
She will. It's
Yeah.
happening.
Yeah.
That's going to happen.
Do you think you'll actually get a leather vest with that on the back?
I'm telling you right now, it's happening. I'm going to make that happen, and you're going to wear it.
I'll take one. I'll even
And,
pay for it.
I don't know. No, you're not going to pay for it. It's a thank you for being on the show.
I already got my mug. I feel
You
like
did get
I'd
a
be
mug.
like out of control.
Jen makes those for us, too.
That's awesome.
Yeah, we're going to have her on one day. But anyway, yeah, thanks for being here. That's quite a different intro for us. But
yeah, those are called cold opens.
They are.
Yeah, like if like SNL, like when you watch Saturday Night Live, they don't go right into like a theme song and the whatever, the explanation. They do like a bit first. So you like warm up everybody and then you go like, now here's the show.
Whoa.
Yeah.
So we did something.
Yeah, this is like a pro move to like just start recording.
It's like I've been listening to you for a while. Or going to Red Curb for years. But yeah. So now what do I do?
Now you can intro the show. You can be like, hey, this is the show.
Anyway, this show is sponsored by Basham Construction. Yeah, we're open to sponsorships. Now that we're opening that can of worms, this isn't free. But anyway, if anybody wants to be a part of the show, hit us up. Do subscribe. Share to all the people that are like-minded, and help us grow the show. So anyway, welcome. So you and I met during. You and I met organically through construction. I was sharing with Jeff before he got here. He's like, so have you known Will for a while? I said, I have. I'm not sure exactly how, but I know that I met him through Basham Construction.
Yeah.
I got a lead from Adrienne Pfaffenberger.
Yeah.
I was like, man, I know that last name.
You pronounce her last name differently than mine.
Well, that's true.
No, I'm just saying
I'll never get it right. Yeah. I'll never get it right.
Yeah, there might be a day where we have to distance ourselves from one another. More her from me than
yeah. She's probably used to all that. She does a lot of videography too.
Oh yeah, she does. She has a YouTube channel.
Yeah, there you go.
Yeah.
But I got a lead for a kitchen, and I told Jen, I said, I think this is Will, but I'm gonna go in there cool. So I went in there, entered. I said, yep, it's him. It's him. And I said, nothing changes. We're going to do our thing. And, we did a kitchen and off to the races. Everybody's happy.
That's great.
But ever since then, I mean, we've done stuff with the show. My daughter's very plugged in. She wants to do something of this nature. We don't know what. First, she wanted to be a weather lady, announcer. She's into musicals, plays. She's very, very talented.
Sounds like a performing arts kind of kid.
Yes, she is. And,
yeah.
And while we're on the performing arts, I want to let all you jocks know, because contrary to what I look like, I used to be one. Performing arts, in my humble opinion, I'm being real, is as much or as hard, if not harder, more time-consuming and physical than you think.
Oh,
Performing arts
for sure.
is not for the faint of heart.
No.
I used to dog, like this is years ago. I didn't know anything about it. I'm a football guy. I used to dog on soccer. I'm like, that sport sucks. Whatever. And then Jen's like, let's get the kids in soccer. I'm like, are we going to go get slushies after the we're like, whatever.
I used to have like a off color joke. I won't say it here, but like for a long time, like in high school in the 90s, I was a theater kid. I played French horn in the marching band, and I played soccer. And I said there was not an activity that I selected that all the football guys didn't say he's a blank F word. Like, you know what I mean?
Oh, really?
Yeah, like I was like every activity I picked was inevitably something that were like he's a blank, the derogative. I was like that was a joke I told for a long time, but I loved all of it. And I think that like culture now realizes that what you just said is that like performing arts in sports or whatever, it all takes a degree of investment and talent and energy and skill to do it,
and balls.
Yeah.
More importantly, it takes some guts to do it.
Yeah.
You're putting yourself out there. But back to that soccer real quick, because I don't want all the haters coming at me. I think that's more physical than football. I think actual soccer is more dangerous or physical than American football.
It can definitely be, and it's played without the protective equipment.
No pads. You're going 100 mile an hour. You're kicking shin. Oh my goodness. So I have mad respect for a lot of things that I overlooked in my life.
Well, and it's an endurance game.
And performing arts.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Well, thank you. That's really nice. It's nice to finally have some retribution.
Well, I don't want to be
later.
arrogant, but I have been told I have a face for radio.
Yeah.
Just saying.
You're a sweetheart.
Does anybody ever get that? I have a face for radio.
Yeah.
You don't see the face? No.
Yeah. We hear that a
Sucks
lot.
if I have to explain.
We're ugly. We could just say it. We're effing ugly.
No.
Nobody wants to see this.
Oh, no, we do. We want to see it here. I listen to you guys every morning.
Thank you.
Brooklyn got the privilege, and she wanted me to tell you thank you from the bottom of her heart to letting her be on the show for a couple hours.
Yeah,
it was kind of fun because it was just Carter and Nikki.
That was because it was a light week.
I think you were out. Yeah. Anyway,
like we were all like on fall break or
something. But it really opened her eyes. She's like, man, this is kind of. She's like, I just thought it was on autopilot, and I thought everything was recorded, and you just got to see it all. And Carter, that guy, I tell you what, is talented, man.
Yeah,
dude, he's talented. He kind of ran the show. I think maybe is that what you do or Dave does? He sat where Dave normally was.
Oh, so he was running the board that day? Yeah.
And then switching stuff.
Yeah. That's what. So Dave on the show, typically morning to morning, Dave is a control freak. He runs that operation. He runs the control board. He runs kind of the what content we're going to put into every break. And the rest of us are supporting that in various ways. Mm-hmm. But when he's gone, either Carter or I will jump on the board and run the board. But yeah, Carter's a very energetic, talented, passionate guy for radio.
Yeah, man, he's got a place somewhere. I don't know what's next for him, but he certainly has. There's no lack of talent there. So
no, he needs to come do like a show like this or something.
I would love to have him
entrepreneurial and do something on his own independently. And
Carter invited to come on. Just call me, text me, whatever, and whoever else on the.
I'll put
Smiley
you on a
show.
text chain so you can get on it.
I mean, I'd love to sit down with all of you guys. I've not met Dave. Like I've been around him. I've never shook his hand, have a conversation.
Really?
And Tony, I've only talked to her over text. Yeah.
Well, we got to get you going. We'll bring the whole show in here, and we will completely destroy your podcast.
That would be wonderful.
We will absolutely
because our ratings are
burn it to the ground,
the roof right now. No, we're just.
When did you
started.
start? When did you start this?
Well, we softly started. I'd say what, Jeff, 9 months ago. Ish.
Yeah, but it was a slow start.
We kind of pre-recorded a bunch, like maybe half a dozen, maybe more than that. We kicked some out, and then I think the light bulb went on. Jeff and I got to talking. It's like we're posting these things that are 6 months old. They're not current.
Yeah.
And if I was a listener, I would probably see through that. So they're fresh. So they go. Today's Friday, the 20th of December. This one. Jeff produces the show, so he edits it. So whenever he decides to shoot it, this one will probably go. We drop them every Wednesday. This Wednesday happens to be Christmas. So
hey, why not?
We made
the gift of Will.
The gift of
on the learning to fly.
I didn't
podcast.
even think about that. The gift of Will.
Yeah. The goodwill.
Goodwill.
Yeah.
Oh.
Peace on earth, goodwill toward men.
Goodwill.
And ladies.
Let's not. Yeah.
This is the gift. Yeah.
You gotta be. Yeah. You gotta show love to everybody.
We already said we're ugly, so that's not true.
We are
it's
ugly.
A lie.
But what we make up in looks, we make it up in effort.
Yeah.
I'd say effort.
Yeah,
and
I think so. We try.
I tell my kids, there's two things that will define you, and that will separate you from anybody else. That's your effort and attitude. Period. And that's real talk. And then the last thing I said, if I ever leave you with one comment, and it's not mine, I think it's Tony Robbins. But I've heard it from Ed Milet a lot, is things happen for you and not to you. And that's what I would tell Carter.
Yeah.
Like, things happen for you, man, not to you. So if you take that mindset approach of, for example, say something didn't go your way and you're like, damn it, and you're sad about it all the time, and that's all you dwell on, well, that's what you're going to be. Or you can say, man, that happened for me. There's other opportunities that I'm going to love, and I'm going to even be better for it. So it's a mindset thing I'm trying to get my kids to think about. It's not my own words, but I do believe in it. So, Carter, things happen for you, bro, not to you, and I'm excited for you.
Yeah, I think he will leverage his momentum and the things he's built and turn that into something great. Yeah, I agree with that. That's a great philosophy.
Yeah, it's not mine. I wish it was.
Seizing. Yeah, you stole it from Tony Robbins
and then Ed Milet.
Yeah,
they have a few.
I don't know who Ed Milet is. I've heard of Tony Robbins because of his giant mouth.
It is huge. It's like Brett Favre. It's huge. Ed Milet's same way. They've got a few bucks each of them.
They're like self-help coaches or whatever, or life coach people.
Yeah, but they've built like Ed's. Anyway, we won't get too deep in that. He won't ever listen to this or be on the show. So
you could tag him or something. You could,
I do. I do it all the time.
Like we did a good solid 20 minutes on Ed Milet.
Yeah, give us a little, throw us a few bones, bro. So let's People want to know about you. How'd you get started into radio?
Well, I grew up in the 90s, like we already discussed.
Are we the same age? I'm 46.
I'm 42.
Okay,
so close.
So we're the same
close.
age.
And I have three sisters, three older sisters, who were all like perfectly engineered in the 70s by my father, like by 3 years apart. I don't know how he did it. And then I was an accident in the 80s. So
well, I mean, I don't know either.
Yeah.
But we could probably speculate.
Yeah, right. They had one interesting fling in 1981 on Mother's Day, and that's it. That's all I can actually possibly.
Your dad was invited to the first ever podcast. I got super excited before that. Yeah. Anyway,
I listened to Bob and Tom. I'm from Avon forever, Indianapolis, and loved that. My oldest sister was into theater. The theater nerd kids came over to our house for all the parties. They were really into Monty Python comedies. I discovered Saturday Night Live, and so like comedy was a gigantic influence for me growing up. It was my favorite thing. Music being a close second, but comedy absolutely number one. Mm-hmm. And so I would watch my dad. My dad worked for Duke Energy for 33 years, his entire career. So Synergy, PSI, whatever, all the changes. But he like wore a suit to work every day. Came home with a briefcase and was just like. To me, like my perception of it, and I'm sure he would tell you a different story because he's very successful there, but looked miserable to me. That like corporate management lifestyle to me, like just he seemed tired at the end of every day, and I don't know, he was doing the best he could, and like we had a really nice childhood and a great family growing up, and like he worked his ass off. Yeah, but that was like for me, it was not anything that connected with me as far as like I was like I got to do something fun for a living. And then Bob and Tom was kind of that thing where I was like, oh, these people are from Indianapolis and they do this radio show and they pay them to do that, and you can have a family and make a living. Yeah. So that drove my entire path. I was trying to like find a school, like get good grades, find a media program, find a place as a radio station, and go study that and figure out how to like get your foot in the door. And all my friends in college were like, "You're the only person who figured out how to do that." I was like, "Well, that's the only thing I ever really wanted to do." Mm-hmm. I also had like a brief stint in Chicago where like with Red Curb, that's improv. Chicago was the improv sketch SNL thing calling. Right. That didn't practically work out once Adrian and I got married. So it was radio. It was radio, and that had always served me really well. And in college, I had gotten an internship with Bob and Tom and spun that into my first job where Tom paid me out of his pocket to come out of college. Yeah. And it was nothing. It was like no dollars, but it was some dollars to go every day, get up every day and go work. And they were like 12-hour days because I would come in for the show and then I would assist his show assistant in doing all of the management administrative stuff for the show for the rest of the day. And so it was a paycheck, and it was working in radio, and it was the ivory tower of radio. At the time, they were syndicated in over 200 markets. So we did touring shows. I got to be a part of like this crazy just success of what they built and be friends with the people who made it and learn how they did it. Mm-hmm. And that sort of propelled me into the rest of my career.
Wow.
Yeah.
So this is it. I'm doing this.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was zero compromise decision.
Yeah, I mean, I think there would have been a compromise if there had come a point where it was the doors started closing, and I had to make more like a really practical decision, like I need to eat or be in radio. Which one is it going to be? Mm-hmm. It never came to that. It always incrementally got better, but it's sort of like what you tell your kids: you just commit and you take the opportunity. You know, things happen for you and not to you.
There you go.
And not everything was perfect. I was working 12-hour days, making $800 every 2 weeks or something at Bob and Tom. But those opportunities I was able to leverage into great knowledge and developing skills and learning how to write comedy and produce it and all of those things with the top of the game at the time.
I hope every theater kid listens to this.
Yeah.
I do. I am a huge advocate of that.
Yeah.
I am. I don't care about sports. I hate sports. But I everything I've done is from football.
Yeah.
Like my whole mentality is football driven. So I do love football. I love
Sure.
I mean, when I say I hate sports, I don't like despise them, but I think the town I live in is Plainfield.
Yeah.
There's a lot of people still living in high school. I mean, there's so many people still living in high school that I laugh at them.
Yeah.
I'm like, you guys are so narrow-minded.
Right.
Like, there's other people in this world.
Yes.
that are doing great things.
Yeah.
That you all overlook because it doesn't have a round fucking ball in your hand.
Right.
Or whatever,
Yeah, it's
ball
not
in
basic, and I think like there is an immediate reward in understanding of sports, which that's great. It's wonderful, entertaining to watch, but it's not the expansive view of experience and how people can operate and how you can think and create and all of those things. So
Like Bo wrestles right now. He's just doing it for conditioning. He wants to be a great football player, and he will be, and I think he is developing to be. But I'm working on his mindset. Last night he won his first match, and that dude came out like, I'm sorry, it was Wednesday night. Won his first match, like his hair was on fire. Just came out and just totally dominated and won his first match. I'm like, dude, that's
it.
What you tried to do. You did it.
Yeah.
Now let's go do the next thing. What is the next thing, right?
yeah.
So I'm glad that we're hammering on performing arts because it is so important, and there's so much. Everything you can learn on a football field or a basketball court, you can learn that and then some on a stage, behind a microphone, whatever you're doing with. So keep doing that stuff.
Well, it's all about committing to a passion and then the work ethic behind it. And nothing comes easy. None of it. Even if you're the most talented person on your football team or most talented kid on the stage, it doesn't come without being committed to do the work, to learn more, to always be challenging yourself to grow and get better. And like I even find myself now, like after 15 years on the show, and we've made absolutely every freaking radio bit under the planet, under the sun. And it's sort of like, I always describe it, it's like Mexican food. Everybody has all of the same ingredients. But what kind of brand new crazy dish are you serving up? Like what wild new Taco Bell special are you making? And like you can continually figure out how to mold and put these things together in new ways to be innovative. And that's where the challenge is for everyone, no matter what you're doing. Is like, how do you become a more creative play caller? How do you become a player who sees the play before it happens? How do you create unexpected circumstances and get a different result? Like those are all invaluable skills that become intrinsically motivated as you commit to your passion.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Man, that's awesome. That aligns exactly with this.
Yeah.
It really does. And everything that we align a lot more than I thought already.
Yeah.
For real. So that's awesome. I love that drive.
Well, I think that like you and I connected pretty quick. I mean, you kind of get a vibe for your people. There are people who are like, oh, you're still living in high school and you're narrow minded. And you got people like, oh, this person communicates well, is committed to their craft. They like to help other people learn it or bring people along and be inclusive with it, as
bring
opposed
people
to
along right there. You nailed it.
Yeah.
You got to bring people with you.
Yeah.
I want to go back to something you said. The only reason I interject is because I'll forget. Jeff will tell you firsthand. So will Jen. I just forget.
No way.
But I want to go back to my daughter. I need her to hear this. It doesn't, like, she wanted to be, everybody wants to be Taylor Swift, or everybody wants to be whatever. And that's great. That's awesome. I am so thankful that my kids have such awesome artists to, like, there's a lot of good music right now in their age group. I mean, I'm from the Guns N' Roses, get in the ring, motherfucker. That's like, you listen to my playlist, you'll run through a brick wall. I'm fat, so I'll bounce off of it. But anyway, it's just that old school stuff. The new stuff, there's a lot of cool stuff. But Brooklyn's like, I'm going to be a singer. I'm like, that's great. Chase your dreams. And dream as big as you possibly can and go for it. Yeah. The only thing that's going to stop that is you.
Yeah.
Now, keep something in mind because there's something called reality.
Right.
Taylor Swift didn't just maybe she did, and she might be a one-off, but most people don't wake up and become a rock star.
Oh, no.
Most people don't wake up and become Will Pfaffenberger. I said it wrong again.
Yeah, hopefully.
Hopefully
they don't wake up and become
what
me.
I'm saying is you're going to have to work.
Right.
You're going to have to deal with rejection. It's not always going to go your way.
Like I would say, I would take that even further and say it's almost never going to go your way.
Yeah.
The places you thread the needle for success. That's really what I think is that
somebody needs to write that down.
You more often get rejected. You more often have the experience where it doesn't go your way. It's how you leverage the momentum of when those times do go right and how you propel that into the next one that puts people in a Taylor Swift position where you have that perspective of like you never get content, you never rest on your laurels. You go like, oh, I got lucky. Like there was a little bit of skill, but a lot of luck that went there. Now, how do I take that and create the next thing?
Yes, that's beautiful.
Yeah.
Oh man, you took the words out of my mouth.
Yeah,
man.
and it does. You do have to be thick-skinned, and you do have to be resilient, and you do have to realize that you're gonna fail.
Yeah,
over and over again. Even when you're super successful, you're gonna fail.
Dude, there's beauty in growth and failure.
Mm-hmm.
That's how I'm nobody. I want to make that very crystal clear. I'm not doing this for really anybody. I'm doing it to just to get some messages out there, right?
Yeah.
And how I think and how I do things, but there's beauty in that and getting and failing.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I'm not a good student. I learn by my mistakes.
By fucking up.
Sure. Yes. Oh my gosh.
It's the best.
I
mean,
it really is.
It's hard to watch your kids do it. Like I hear you talking about like you're motivated for your kids to hear these messages, and me too. Yep. But it's the toughest thing as a parent, especially a parent who has found some success and has resources to make life a little easier for them to find success.
Yeah.
But you're like, man, I wish you went through the brutal shit.
Yes.
Like sometimes you're like, I want to take this away.
Yes.
So you have to suffer some.
It's
like,
funny
and learn how to persevere through some of the suffering, because there's some stuff that you just have that was not a resource for us.
Like YouTube.
Yeah.
I think I talked on a couple podcasts ago. There's no reason for anybody to be broke. I'm being dead fucking serious.
Yeah.
If you can have YouTube, you could figure about anything out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
you can. You could. I mean, not to take away from your trade, and obviously there's things that you guys do brilliantly well, but there's so much that I just look up, like from a construction standpoint, where I'm like, I could do that on my own.
Oh, sure.
I'll just go watch this guy. I mean, I'm like, why are you giving away these secrets? Like,
yeah, yep. No, it's a lot of things. We're doing a kitchen right now. The customer's doing pretty much half of it. I even said, man, I mean, if you just wanted some mentorship, just call me. You know,
yeah.
I mean, I'm not here to get in your pocketbook. I'm here to change people's spaces, lives, and bring your Pinterest board to reality. That's really what we do. If you can envision it, we'll make it happen.
That's what I loved about you, like you guys. Like, and then we talked to a couple of other companies, but
how dare you? I'm just kidding.
No. I know, but
we have competition.
It really was random, and I didn't know. You know, you had supported the 12 Trees of Christmas on the show, and Tony knew about you when I was explaining who was coming to do our kitchen. Like, you guys had already been involved, so we were orbiting each other, these worlds. But it was cool to connect, and then it was the difference maker for us. Was like, oh, this, like, Ryan really wants to help us get this done the way we need to get it done, and the way we want to do it, and it was so amenable and flexible. It was really nice. Like,
oh, thanks.
But that's the way, like, it just has to go. Like, it would be the same way with, like, bringing your daughter into the show. It's like, you want to do this rather than going, you're some dumb kid, you're never going to make it. You're going, like, well, try, put your, like, step in, fail, embarrass yourself for a second, like, feel what it's like to be in this mix, and then you'll learn how to do it better the next time.
Yeah. And I don't know if I ever told Nikki and Carter, but thank you again. They, especially Nikki and Carter too, they really they kind of got blind. They didn't know what was happening. Like, they learned it the morning of, like, as we're walking through that dark window, like, hey, let us in. Oh, you're those people. Come on in.
Yeah.
Really took their time with her, and they didn't have to. And that's a character thing, so that's pretty cool. Pretty cool. So thanks again.
No, we love that. We love that on the show. We like.
She'll be there Monday morning.
Yeah. That's fine. I won't be. I'm on break again.
Yeah.
She better be. Actually, we need coverage.
No. So let's go back to Bob and Tom, because I grew up on Bob and Tom. My dad's not with us anymore, but he ate that up, man. Chick McGee. I've actually got to meet Bob Cavoyan.
Yeah, Cavoyan. He's the best.
He is. He's a real dude.
Yeah.
It was at Gander Mountain or whatever it's in Carmel. I don't think it's there anymore. It's like an outdoor place. And I saw he had the LA Dodgers hat on. You can't miss him. I mean, he's not huge, but just his look is like, damn, that's Bob. I said, Bob, how you doing, brother? He's like, hey, brother. He said some smart-ass thing and walked right in. And that's it. But not met Tom. They're still going strong, right?
Well, Bob retired in 2014, I think.
Has it been that long?
Yeah, it's been a long time. It's been probably 10 years. And, and then they kind of reconfigured the show from there, but Tom's still doing it.
Tom's a lifer, isn't he?
Oh, yeah, he'll die in the chair,
really?
for sure. Yeah, he's a lot like the Smiley, where they're like, that shows like their whole life. That's what they do. They live to get up and be in that chair and do that show, which is great. I mean,
it is great because you need it. But that's I'm glad somebody like that's found their passion, and you're not working then.
I was just thinking, Bob's more like me, where I'm like, if I was on a show for 20 years and made multi-millions of dollars every year and could go off and do other things, I probably would.
Yeah.
I mean, I love radio and I love entertainment, but I think that there's a certain point where like I'd like to go like play with some of this money or that, like go experience something that isn't getting up at 4 a.m. every day. And
the time thing would kind of suck.
Yeah,
up early all the time. But I mean, that's kind of what I'm doing a little bit. I want to be a little diverse.
Yeah,
I have things I want to say and get off my chest. And my family, I'm pretty convinced they think I'm doing this because they get tired of hearing me. And Jen, actually, I'm gonna have one called chips on my shoulder, and this is a chip on my shoulder. She's like, "You're just doing this so I can't argue with you." And I'm like, well, maybe so.
Well, you just said you'll have her on the show. That would actually be the most fun show. I think that if she was sitting in this chair and she would be bold enough to like tell you you're wrong and go after you.
I haven't had her on yet.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But that's just because you're scared. That would be the most entertaining episode. I think
I'm not scared at all. I'm terrified.
Yeah.
There's a difference.
Yeah. You're beyond scared.
She's great. Yeah.
I told my wife during the pandemic. So with Red Curb, we had to come up with innovative ways to stay afloat and pay our rent and utilities and all that. And so we switched to a lot of digital entertainment, and we created these podcasts. And Adrian was at home and I was at home, and as a married couple, being married for a long time, you have these arguments or these disagreements or these fights, and you always wonder behind the scenes, those tough conversations as two married people who are together forever, if anybody else is having those conversations, if anybody has them the same way, if you're feeling alone or isolated, if you think that, like, are you both assholes? Are you the asshole? Like, who's right? Who's wrong? And I was like, this would make a great show if we would just have these arguments on a podcast, or we'd have these thoughts, or just being a long-term couple, like in public. I know that's super uncomfortable to think about, super vulnerable. Like, you'd have to be nearly crazy, which I am, to do it. And she was like, I don't think I could be completely genuine knowing other people could hear the argument.
My thing would be, Jen is so she's very smart. She's very, very smart.
Oh, she would turn you inside out.
She's very she's a mom, a working mom, a business owner, She's got a lot of hats. Her ability, there's a few things. Her ability to hear everything, like Grandpa Scott will tell it. He's like, we'll say something in one room, and she could be on the other end of the house.
Yeah.
And we don't say it very loud like this. She's like, I heard that.
Yeah.
Like, damn. You're like,
what the hell?
And then she can talk and think and multitask all at the same time. I don't think she's human, to be honest with you. So that terrifies me. If anybody listens to these podcasts, sometimes I'll stop because I literally forget what I'm talking about. Because I'm trying to think. I'm not real good at doing podcasts.
I'm not real good at
thinking.
I'm not real good at doing think.
But, I'm working on it. I'm putting myself out
You're
there.
great.
Yeah.
You're great.
But she is a stone cold killer that way. She's good. So that's why I haven't had her on yet.
She's calculating. She's 3 moves ahead.
She doesn't listen to all these. So I got a little leg up on her. So maybe I should have her on next. Jen, get over here. But no, she'll be on. I'm excited to have her on. I want to get some other people on first. But anyway. So,
but it would be interesting to have. We were talking about like having the conversations like as a married couple, or like those private conversations that you have. You're like going like, are these normal? Or this okay? Like, I don't know if this like.
I think it's okay.
Yeah, I think it would be okay. And I think that you would have a surprising amount of people who would be totally engaged with that and be willing to like jump in, and also relief. Like, I'm not alone in this.
I think a lot of us are similar in the way we behave. Like, I mean, I'm not rude. I mean, you could get Jen's opinion, but when I'm done with it, I just get quiet and I don't really talk much. I'm not a dick about it. I'm just like, well, whatever. Tomorrow's a new day.
Yeah.
That's how I am. But women often want to get resolutions or answers or whatever right away, and I think men sometimes don't really care.
Yeah. I need closure all the time. I need it to be resolved. I may be more like Jen.
Well, let's resolve something. What do we got to resolve?
That's it. Well, yeah, we'll get Adrian and Jen on here, and we'll have
couples podcast.
We'll have our fights.
Wow.
Let's just have our disagreements, our conversations together.
I hope you have a nice heated garage, because I do. You can stay in my garage. Okay, that's where you and I are going to be.
Yeah, we're going to be living together, rooming together in this podcast room.
This thing really steered in the wrong direction. I'm kidding. I think it's a great idea. Did it take off at all? Did
Oh no, she was like. I think we recorded one episode, and she was like, I don't think she was like, I know I was being more reserved than I'd be if we were genuinely having it. I'm like, yeah, that's the issue is because you don't create the actual.
So it wouldn't be authentic.
You don't have the actual conversation then.
Yeah, I think people would be interested in that if it was authentic. I do. I think
Yeah,
people
if somebody
would,
if you're bold
it's like
enough
Jerry
to
Springer, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's a train wreck, or there could be, and everybody wants to see it.
Mm-hmm.
But if you're having couple disputes, there's probably going to be some arguments.
Yeah, and I mean, it's not all going to be like, I'm not saying that everything's completely negative
Right.
and intense, but it would just be those conversations you have to like sort out together and like figuring out how to navigate life. It's pretty, I think it would be fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah.
The show's sponsored by Cabin Coffee and Get Go.
And Get Go, baby.
So just coming at you.
Here's a barrel of Diet
If you guys
Coke.
want to come on the show, just let us know. Did that rhyme?
Yeah.
Back to Bob and Tom, though. So were you on set every day? Or what was your role there?
So I was, I think I was an assistant producer. I don't know that I formally had a title, but I was an intern in college. And what I did was help cultivate news stories for Christy. So the funny news stories, she would do her news segment. It would be a combination of real and funny news.
Mm-hmm.
And I would find those stories for her and edit them down so they were like efficient for radio consumption. And then I would also help book the comedians at the time, the stand-ups coming through the clubs. And it was a bigger time for stand-up anyway. A lot bigger names were coming through. And they were all kind of Bob and Tom-based comedians. I would help book the comedians for the show.
Really?
Yeah, and it wasn't me selecting them. It was me just reaching out to their agents and just like getting the schedule right. Mm-hmm. And then I would also get to go to the writers' meetings. So there used to be a restaurant up on the north side called Loon Lake Lodge, which is now the Twin Peaks, baby. They upgraded it.
Yeah.
It got better. We would go to this room with all of the show cast plus producers of the show plus comedians they had writing for the show, and they still have comedians who write for the show. It's more digital based now, but I have a lot of friends who are still writing for the show. But we would sit around a table like old school style and pitch bits. We would all go like, I have a song idea, I have a sketch idea, and then we would all pitch these bits and read them and put them in the middle, and Tom would go like, well, we're gonna try these things because they make sense, and then we would all be like assigned to go off and produce them. Now, I was at the lowest end of that totem pole. I just was happy to be there at the table.
Yeah. Did you know what you were getting into at that time, or were you just like kind of?
I had no idea the scale of production that was happening behind the scenes.
Okay,
none.
Because that's a hell of a show.
Yeah, it's gigantic.
Well, the show you're on now is a hell of a show. Yeah.
But we're like more traditionally local morning radio show. It's the four of us plus occasionally we'll have a support like Carter. Like we'll occasionally get an assistant producer, but the four of us are making everything for all of that.
Yeah.
On Bob and Tom, it was just this whole machine. It was us writers and producers, and they had a separate studio called the Static Shack where they had musicians. And
I remember the Static Shack.
Yeah. And I don't know if they still use it, but it was like it was basically a recording studio. So, and they produced all of their music originally.
Is that where Haywood Banks did all his stuff?
Yeah, probably. Yeah. A lot of the albums that came out at the time were all produced out of the Static Shack. And one of the most fascinating things that happened, like besides knowing the scale of the production and what a huge operation it was that they would take their bits, they would refine bits. You would hear their sketches or whatever, like Joe Johnson Memory System or the Godzilla sketches or whatever you remember from that. Mm-hmm. But for the albums, they would put out an album every Christmas. A best of album, they would go to the Static Shack and they would listen to the bit and they would do just a session of them laughing, like hearing it for the first time and laughing at it, so that you got that genuine first response, so that cues the audience when they're laughing at a bit to be like, that's hilarious because it just killed like that. So when you hear it back on the air, you're not hearing them literally live in the studio laughing at it every time. You're hearing that initial response the studio, which was just another little lesson in entertainment production, where you're going like, how do you make this the very best it can be for the moment that you're presenting it on the air?
Yeah,
yeah.
I share a couple songs like with people that have no idea what it is. It's Bob and Tom, but Bob does it. Everybody's pissed at me.
Yeah.
Like as an entrepreneur, like my role, like I'm the sales guy. I deal with everything. Like if something goes wrong, I deal with it. And there's days it piles up, and I'll find it's hard to find. You got to find it on the internet. But I'll play that song. Everybody's pissed at me. It makes me feel better.
Yeah.
Because it's like, damn, I feel like everybody's pissed at me right now. Yeah. and I love comedy. I crave it. My favorite thing to do is go to Red Curb and laugh my ass off.
Yeah.
It's one of my favorite things to do. So whenever I get built up and I'm like, my back's against the wall, I go to comedy. I don't really get pissed about it. I'm like, dude, this is funny. Mm-hmm. Everybody must be pissed at me, and I'm not doing anything wrong, but apparently that's my role.
Yeah, that's how it works sometimes.
But everybody's pissed, and I think that was so funny. Haywood Banks, I think is hilarious. I don't know if he's still around.
He's kind of transitioned to TikTok. I think he still tours some. But what was amazing to me is that he took all that stuff he was doing in the early 2000s, late 90s, early 2000s, and it's all his hit stuff like Toast and
the Orange Barrels,
all of those things, and he did them live on TikTok. And, he's an old man now. So he's an old man on TikTok. But they kill just the same now. Like with a brand new Gen Z audience or whatever. As they did back when they originally were airing on the show. Like these just wacky, universal, evergreen comedy premises and the way he does it. And he's an entertainment. Like he just, massive TikTok following now.
He reminds me a little bit of like Nate Bargatze.
Yeah.
In terms of there's not very many comedians that do it 100% clean. And I think that's hard to do.
Oh,
I think it's almost like I consider myself funny, but it's not all clean.
Oh,
you know?
Oh, no, I abandoned that ship a long time ago, dude.
I did too. But I think like Bargatze, the Haywood Banks, probably like Tim Allen, I guess, or Jeff Foxworthy.
Jim Gaffigan is a big one. Yeah. He works all clean and it's hilarious.
Yeah, I think it's hard to do, but I think that Bargatze guy,
unbelievable.
He's going to be on the show. Did I tell you that? No, I'm kidding.
What? Well, I was like, what? Yeah, back when Nate was coming up, we had a chance to meet him a couple of times, and he still will reach out and still want to do shows and stuff.
Oh, really?
Yeah. So he's still out there. Made his SNL debut this season, I think, or last season, and hilarious and massive tours. But
we had tickets for his show, and it got canceled because he was going on the Saturday Night Live thing. And the first thing I said, I was like, "Good for you, dude."
Yeah.
That's my first thought. I went to social media, and everybody's like, "Damn it, we had planned blah blah blah." I'm like, "All you guys are missing it."
Yeah.
Like, this is this guy's Super Bowl moment. Let's be happy for this guy.
Yeah, this is wonderful.
I even got on it. I mean, he probably never reads my stuff, but I'll comment like, "Dude, I'm proud of you. Keep it up." So we had tickets, but who gives a rip?
Yeah.
I'll see you on Saturday Night Live.
Yeah.
Good for you.
And he's got a great podcast too. He's got a good, I forget what his show is called, but
I say that, but I'm gonna try to get him. What's it gonna
hurt? Why wouldn't you try?
No.
If he's rolling through town, that's what I always said about Red Curb, and it worked a couple of times where if they're in town anyway and they've been booked at a club or they've got their theater show and you reach out and you get lucky. You're like, you want to come on an off night? You want to come on Sunday afternoon? Do you want to come in and just like guest for a second or do a quick set? And it happened a couple of times through Red Curb.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Where we got Drew Lynch in before he went on tour, and he's the guy who won America's Got Talent. He had the stutter. He's the stuttering comedian. He had hit with a baseball.
That's right.
And he doesn't really have the stutter anymore. So like he's straight up just hilariously talented and doing great. Without the whole backstory of the disability and all of that now. But then Ryan Niemiller was Indianapolis-based. He won America's Got Talent, and we got him back through. And then Brent Terhune. So, yeah, we had some, like, pretty good up-and-coming comedians come through Red Curb just by going like, hey, you want to drop in and do a set or whatever? And it works. And I think it worked for you, too.
We'll try.
And Nate Bargatze's the kind of guy that would consider it.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, it'd be a long shot, but what
but why not?
Man.
You got to try.
Big. Yeah, I never thought you'd be on the show, so I'm thankful.
That's dumb. Of course, I'd be on the show. That's dumb.
Yeah, I remember asking you at Red Curb a few weeks ago or whatever, and I said, "Hey, I'm this way. This is how I ask people. I get rejected a lot in business. I'm just used to it. This is a little more near and dear to my heart. This project, and so I'll ask people like this, and this is exactly how I asked you." Don't answer now. think about it, but I'd like to have you on the podcast, and do not answer me right now. And Will says, I'm there. I said, dude, just think. Like, I don't need to think about it. I'm there.
good.
I'm like, well, that's kind of nice.
Yeah.
It's nice to hear on my end, but most people, I want to give them an out. Like, I was raised to where I felt like I always had to do stuff, and I didn't like that. So I always want people to feel comfortable around me.
Yeah, to know like you're not putting any social pressure on this.
Go. Yeah, that's all it is.
Yeah.
So I always give people that out. So when they do say yes, it's very sincere.
Mm-hmm.
And
I like to double down jokingly in the other way. It's like, Ryan, you're doing my podcast. Okay, I'll see you Friday. You'd be like, don't even think about it. Just, I'll see you there. I'll see you there. Are you okay?
That's actually pretty good, too.
Yeah.
All right. Brigazzi, did you hear that? Whatever he said.
Brigazzi, you're on here. Next Friday. You're on the podcast. I know it's a couple days after Christmas.
Yeah. Or do it on Christmas. What the heck? Yeah. Oh, man, that's crazy. So are you in touch with the Bob and Tom guys anymore?
Yeah. So one of the guys I looked up to a lot on that show, his name's Dean Metcalf, and he actually just left the show this past year. But yeah, I still like we'll run into them and chit chat. And actually, the guy that I'm coaching soccer at Avon High School.
You coach soccer?
Yeah,
awesome.
I do. Yeah. So I'm back so I've done a couple stints at Avon, and I've done soccer coaching for all of this time. It's sort of like my third passion. And I was a director of coaching at USAI in Indianapolis, a big youth soccer club for a long time. And then when my daughter was born, I couldn't really do it anymore. So I rotated out of that, but was asked to come back and coach at Avon. And I've done like 3 different stints at Avon, like in the high school program. And the guy I played for in high school took the program back over. So I came back to help him coach. Anyway, one of the coaches there who I played with in school, he's the nephew of Christy. So I've had like a weird little connection to her for a long time. Christy graduated from Ben Davis. And then I was on the show for a minute. And
is she still doing anything, or is she retired?
Yeah, she's still on the show.
She's on Christy. Yeah,
she's still on the show.
I listen to you guys in the morning.
Thank you.
I listen to podcasts.
That's great.
I do. That's my routine.
Thank you.
I'm at the gym at 7. Listen to you guys. Oh, I had an idea for you guys. I want like the Friday. What do they call it? The
weekend blast off.
The weekend blast off. Maybe make that a 5 or 10 song playlist, and then shoot it out on your page for all us gym junkies. That's a good mix of music.
It is. It's always fun.
Like, I kind of look forward to that 8 o'clock on Friday. It happened today. A buddy of mine started yapping. And I'm like taking my earphones. I'm like, dude, I'm missing the blast
I'm missing
off.
my workout music.
So make it quick.
And look, Daddy's a fatty. I look bad on my podcast.
Actually, we were actually talking about that.
Yeah.
He dropped about 20 pounds.
Yeah.
I was like, dude, you look good. I said, I don't swing that way. I'm just saying, I know she lost some weight.
I might. I was like, after that 20 pounds, I don't know, man.
He said it's an app.
He's like, if I just had a table right here and could only see them boobies,
yeah,
everything would be great.
I'm gonna get a different shirt. I don't know how I feel about this. Anyway, actually, I'm trying to lose.
I feel like I don't mean to make you more insecure.
I'm not insecure. I have kids, man. They make fun of me. I know. I don't have feelings.
These kids ruined my body, but you're the dad.
I got a dad bod.
You're the dad. How did that happen?
I'm rocking this dad bod. What can you say? Come on. Coming at you.
Good.
Yeah, I feel good. That's all that matters.
Jen's the only one that matters. She's the only one.
She makes fun of me though.
Yeah.
No, she doesn't. I'm kidding. She's wonderful.
Look how scared. You're still scared of her right now.
I'm nervous to have her on because she's good.
She'll destroy me.
No, she's
my body.
No, she's not that way.
I know. She's wonderful.
So let's talk about the Smiley Show. When did you start that? Like when did that transition?
2010. So I went to Chicago and was studying improv and sketch at IO in Second City. And this was after I had done morning radio for the Wank and O'Brien show. So I had gotten into radio. Okay. I did Bob and Tom right after school. Mm-hmm. Graduated in 2004, did Bob and Tom, and then was getting married and needed real insurance and not just, $800.
Not the one you guys offer at Red Curb?
Yeah, right.
I thought you got that every time.
Yeah, we have the one policy.
Okay.
So I went and worked at UIndy, University of Indianapolis, marketing and promoting their performing arts programs and shows. And there did a show called UIndy Battle of the Bands. Then I got hired to go work for the Wank and O'Brien show based on that show because I hired some of the DJs from, at the time it was Emmis and Jeff Smullian's company to judge it like American Idol. And they were like, this show's awesome. And like, I see you have a history like a Bob and Tom, like we'll come interview for this producer role on Wayne and O'Brien. And I did. It ended up being like a really tough time. It was not a pleasurable experience. It was kind of like one of those moments of hitting the wall. It was one of the bad
kind of
times.
like what you want our kids to go through.
Yeah,
like,
right. It was the suffering part of like,
yes.
Here's the reality part of this. And out of that, what came of it was like, I don't want to do radio like this. I don't want to do entertainment like this. I want to go pursue my bigger dream of learning how to write sketch and do improv. And so went up and studied there. So I was up in Chicago doing that, and then came back and formed a group called $3 Bill Comedy, where we did sketch out of Comedy Sports. And then
you did that?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, $3 Bill Comedy. And it was sketch, so it was written material. It was written like Saturday Night Live. And that got us following. And as we were press releasing shows for that, I sent it to the Smiley Morning Show. And I had put a little bit of my background so I get some credibility.
Sure.
I'm just not like some local nut just trying to do this. Like, I've done some comedy. And so based on that, they had just fired the producer on that show. And they were like, you want to interview for this show? And I was like, not really. I had a terrible experience. I had a terrible experience at Wake and O'Brien. I don't want to get back into this. Like, this feels like the same thing. And now I'm doing sketch and improv. Like, this feels like the right way. And they're like, just come have some lunches with us. And I ended up going and having like 6 or 7 drunk lunches with Smiley and the program director.
Yeah.
And it was, at some point, they're just like, just come in. I'm not even sure I'm hired yet. 15 years later, they were just like, after the 6th lunch, they're just come in Friday and run the show, or like be on the show. And I did that. And then I eventually got a real contract, but it was like that crazy informal.
Were you nervous?
A little bit. Yeah. Cause I was like, I had also started going to school for I was at UND getting a master's degree in education. So it was just sort of like a backup plan. I was sort of running concurrently with everything, just to go I'm going to go get this degree so I have a thing to fall back on. And I was in the middle of that program, and I was sort of like, I don't know if I really want to do this or not. But I came in and I was nervous, and I was like more concerned, like this is going to be dumb and terrible again. And then it ended up being great. And then one day after another, and then all of a sudden 3 months later, we finally made a real contract. But I had been working that whole time.
You're like, I thought I had a job. But
yeah.
Now
I do. And I committed to the contract, and then incrementally every year we got better and better. Like, the ratings got better and the revenue got better, and we just formed this super team of misfits.
Yeah.
And created this show. It was really great. So
it's kind of like that during Christmas season, that National Lampoon's Christmas Vacation, where he gets that Jelly of the Month club. This whole time he's putting in this pool thinking he's going to get that year-end bonus, thinking he has got a job, right? He gets the Jelly of the Month. You mother, and you know what happens there.
Yeah,
but then it all comes through. It's probably similar to your story. I thought I had a job. I thought this was real for 3 months. Now it is real now.
Yeah, it's real. It's real.
Okay. Are you sure?
Yeah,
are you sure this time? What's
it
it like?
Awesome. It was crazy. I've never heard anybody get a job that way. Especially in radio, where it was just just come in. And that's the nature of the Smiley Morning Show, is that everything is done sort of with this casual, let's just try it sort of attitude and see what happens. And even the hiring process, it's crazy.
You would think, because there's not very many jobs.
Yeah.
I mean, if you think in radio, there's not that many jobs. It's pretty prestigious to get on it the way it is, I would assume.
Yeah. I mean, it's a lucky place for us to be. We always have to remind ourselves of that on weird bad days. Hey, we are lucky. We get to come do this as a job. We get paid to do this as a job.
So when Brooklyn got to be on a couple months ago, I went with her because, of course, she can't drive.
Yeah, of course.
I was like, where's Will sit? What's Will do right now? Because I would always ask these weird, because Brooklyn was nervous, so she wouldn't ask any questions. I'm like, we got to get some dialogue going. And Nikki goes, well, he's usually over there in the corner. He's in his own little world. He'll have his headphones on. He's writing stuff down. He's recording stuff. He's coming up, and all of a sudden we got all these bits.
Yeah.
And he's laughing at himself. He's doing all that. He's just off doing his own thing. He might leave. And the way she explained it was hilarious, and it matches everything I know about you. And how do you come up with this shit? I mean, it's just, you have so many hilarious bits.
I don't know. I have a dark, twisted mind, I think. Like, or just like the skewed perspective of things. I hear things and I'm like, well, that sounds a little off, or whatever, or that seems like that sounds like if you said it a different way, it would mean a completely different thing. Or I just like extrapolating all of the possible like reactions you could have to something.
And some stick, some may don't.
Some things are complete failure. Even now, like some of the things that you try to do, like some of the bits or concepts that you have are just too far out there for people to connect to.
Yeah.
So that's another lesson is like you have to keep things sort of grounded and based in something people are going to understand right away.
Okay, yeah.
As opposed to being like so far out there crazy that like, yeah, that's funny to you because you're out of your mind. But you got to have something where people are like, oh, I get where that's funny. Like I understand where that seed of weirdness came from. And you can pull it out.
Do you guys ever get any pushback or any like hate? Like, what's it like on your end? Because I don't think anybody understands. I shouldn't say it like that. Many people may not understand how radio works, me included. Like, do you get feedback from people? Emails? Call? I mean, like, how does that work?
Yeah. We get hate every day.
How do you handle that?
We just do. Like, it's just part of the gig. That's where, like, we'll do celebrity stories where people are getting all sensitive and hurt by like people saying mean things on social media. It's like it's part of being a public figure, right?
Yeah.
You're not gonna please everybody. You're just not. You're not. No. And even if you do, most of the time, there's still gonna be somebody who wants to just say some hurtful shit to say hurtful shit.
Yeah.
People like to troll, right?
There's so many of them.
So you get it.
Yeah.
And you just sort of go like, yeah, I've heard that before.
I kind of like it, to be honest with you. I got a lot of haters too.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I mean, what are you doing?
Mm-hmm. I'm fueled by your tears.
Like, what are you, the hater? I'm asking the hater, what are you doing?
Yeah.
With your life?
Yeah.
I'm waiting.
Yeah.
You don't hear anything?
I'm gonna need 10 more innovative insults right now. Go. Like if this is your talent, go. Like now pursue it.
Yeah, it's like that old saying, sticks and stones may hurt my bones, but words will never hurt me. It's pretty true. Right?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't give a shit. And there's not anything that a troll has said that somebody else hasn't already said or thought they thought of or thought they were being clever or thought it would be hurtful, but it's just not going to land because inevitably like we're doing this thing and we know quantifiably that it's successful and connects with people and we get plenty of like really great positive feedback too. Yeah. So it's not even balanced. It is unfairly in the favor of positive. And you get a handful of negative and that can weigh heavier on people sometimes if you
dwell on it.
If you just choose to like make that your focus.
Some may disagree with me, but I think success can be defined or measured in a way of if you do have haters. I feel like if you don't, you might want to.
You're not trying hard enough.
Maximizing yourself.
We would have our best program director. His name's J.R. Ammons that we've ever had. So he's the guy who runs the station, right? Immediately runs the station and oversees the show. He's like your immediate manager or boss.
Okay.
And he was like, you guys aren't doing it right if I'm not getting 1 or 2 emails a month or a phone call every now and then saying that you like stirred some pots or caused some trouble. Like then you guys aren't trying hard enough.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. I fully agree with that. Yeah. I do. Doesn't mean you try to go out and
you're not trying to make people hate you,
right? But don't get it twisted. We're not trying to.
If you are pushing boundaries and being innovative and testing limits and trying to do things people haven't done, you're going to upset some people.
Yeah. No, I fully agree with that. Man, what's it like? So working with Smiley, I don't know Dave.
Yeah,
like I said, I've been around.
He would come do this podcast in a heartbeat. Yeah, he would.
Dave, get over
Especially
here.
if you offered to take him drinking afterwards. He would.
Well,
he would be here.
We haven't done it yet, Jeff. So
I mean, we could just crack open beers. I'd come back and do like a drunk cast.
While I have you, Jeff, John and Betty, they agreed we're going to do that one off site. But I would love to do one at like the cigar lounge or something. Mm-hmm. I think it'd be fun. We're not trying to be like another podcast, but I am influenced by like the Rogan podcast. Mm-hmm. I like how they do stuff. The Real AF with Andy Frisella. He's not for everybody, but that's my number one guy I listen to. Ed Milet's another one. Learning to Fly podcast. Have you heard of that one?
Yeah.
I listen to that one quite a bit. It's probably like right up there with Rogan.
Mm-hmm.
Again, people can't sense that the humor there. But anyway,
people,
there's a lot of
I'm funny, but
influences.
people can't sense it.
But
it's unsensible.
It's unsensible. Back to the Rogan thing. They have the Protect My Parks. Dude, I think if we got 5 or 6 of us guys and just sat around and had drinks and cigars and just bullshitted, I think people would love that.
They would love it.
I think they would. It doesn't mean that only Rogan gets to do that. We could do that here at the local level.
Yeah,
So,
yeah, and especially if you were like talking about local things, if you wanted it to be.
Well, we want this to be local.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the whole mission. But if it grows, it grows.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's what happened. That was like the whole Bob and Tom thing, and it's to a degree why there's a strong differentiating point between what they do and what we do, because they are now all national, so they have to keep their content in sort of a way that is evergreen, connective to like humanity, as opposed to going like we can be super Indianapolis centric.
Yeah.
On our show. And so a lot of what we do is based on the fact that like we live and breathe and talk about all of the same things everybody else is talking about. And Bob and Tom are extremely talented at taking kind of like general wacky stories or broad comedians and turning that into a very entertaining show. But they have the limitation of not being able to talk about what happened in Indianapolis this morning. Like there was a morning that we had, there was a monkey who escaped. Right?
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah, there was a pet monkey that was like
Like
running,
softboard
like
or
creating rampage around the town.
Yeah.
And people were citing it and calling in. And so like we could be the Monkey Patrol. And I made a song called The Monkey Patrol.
Did they
and the
find
whole
it?
fucking morning became about following this monkey.
Did they find it dead or
No.
It was a coyote or something on the road. Like we found the dead
Yes.
monkey.
So that
I
was
remember
always
that.
like exciting updates.
Yeah.
Like people were calling in roadkill and stuff. And the monkey was just fine.
Yeah.
And the owner eventually caught. It was like a happy ending. So it was fun. But it was fun for us to like have people calling in. They like trying to find the monkey, but also people thinking they saw the monkey. And so that's something we could do, but that was Indianapolis, right? You couldn't do that on Bob and Tom because they're in 100 markets.
Gas Man.
Yeah.
You did Gas Man.
Yeah.
So we had a you and I, we won't talk about our other conversations, but like ideas or whatever, like that, the Gas Man, in my opinion, is one of your better ones in terms of the indie market.
Yeah.
People could physically see you. You could hear them on the radio, and it was hilarious.
Yeah.
And you would have all these bits and voices. And
Yeah. The gas man.
Yeah,
It was like, I could live in the toot cave.
yeah.
You know, whatever it is.
It's all corny, awesome stuff.
Yeah,
You know what
it's
I mean?
just ridiculous, and ultimately, like, you can mess with people a little bit because you're giving them a nice thing in return.
Yeah.
You're filling their gas tank
Yeah.
for free,
Yeah.
or we would just be giving them a gift card, actually. But
Yeah.
we would like run them through that, like make it a little silly for them.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So are you responsible for making it? Like, is that part of your job? Is like, I got to create content. I've got to create ideas.
Yeah, all the time. Yeah.
All right.
And we do it all together too. So we'll go have lunches once a quarter or whatever that are specifically brainstorming things, and we'll just like create a list of just obscene ideas. Not obscene, but like an obscene list of ideas.
Yeah. That you can pull from.
Some ideas are obscene.
Oh, I'm
like we
sure.
could never do them. After
Yeah.
you get a certain number of drinks in, like they become a little weirder.
Which leads me into my next question, because this is an entrepreneurial podcast.
Yeah.
What made you start Red Curb?
So Red Curb was born out of $3
'Cause that
bill.
is a place where you can.
Yeah, where we
Yeah.
can explore all. There are no boundaries
Right.
there in the late show. It
Yeah.
is it's an adults only show for sure.
Yeah.
But it is guided by suggestions in the audience on any
Mm-hmm.
given night. You'd be surprised at the range of what that means from like one audience to another. How far it can go or how limited it can be.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, so it all is kind of gauged on that. However, Red Curb came out of $3 Bill, which was a sketch group that I formed when we came back from Chicago. Local performers who came out of Comedy Sports who are all improvisers. So we all met at Comedy Sports in like 2004 when we all graduated school. And some people had been there and some people came later. But that's kind of the origin story, is that we created a sketch group called $3 Bill, had like a 5-year run, very successful, started doing the Indie Fringe Festival, which is kind of a one-off festival in August every year, and sold out all those shows. And we started doing comedy musicals there. So these were the origins of why we do an improvised musical later. And then those people I pitched, I was like, let's get our own theater, because we were always combating splitting the door, not having enough rehearsal space, and wanting to do more shows a year than just the festival or whatever we could get in, wherever we could get in at other places. And we were getting older and everybody's starting families. And so that was kind of our late 20s when I started pitching that idea. And it didn't work out with that particular core group to go, let's go all in together on this business and open a theater, because everybody was sort of pulled in different directions at the time. But I was lucky enough to have been in morning radio where that was synergistic, where I only worked in the morning. So I had the rest of my day to think about a business and my weekends to think about performing all the time. I didn't have kids yet. They came along when Red Curb opened, but eventually I figured out how to put those two things together, find the right place, recruit the performers, and a lot of them were originally that cast in $3 bill. Some of them were kind of the expanded universe of comedy sports performers and other people we'd seen do improv around town who started that first group. What's exciting, if this is coming out this next week, is that
it will be
the final Saturday in December 28th, is that entire cast is the veteran original cast of people from Red Curb, like the origin of all of this.
Really?
So those are like the murderer's row of performers that I've worked with for 20 years who are coming to do that final show.
The final show.
Yeah. So
And
if
that
like
is this Saturday or next Saturday, I mean?
Yeah, it'll be December 28th, Saturday, December 28th. And it's stacked. Like, so there's like going to be 10 or 11 performers, but it is all of the original $3 bill cast, plus some people we did long form with, and an earlier group called Fun Dumpster. And it's going to be all of those people who made our run successful in Indianapolis, who are now all doing amazing things on their own, in their own right. But it is a rare opportunity. Like, if you're asking me to have all those human beings in the same room at the same time, John Colby and I, who do Dudesicle together, who's in Red Curb, he and I like recruited them.
He's like your best friend, isn't he?
Yeah, he's one of my best
You
friends.
guys go on vacation a lot. Is that
we
the
do
same
go on
John?
vacations together. Yes.
Well, I don't stalk you, but I pay attention.
Yeah.
I pay attention.
Yeah, our families, like, we have kids of similar ages.
Yeah.
And
he's funny. He's funny too. Man.
Oh, God.
Yeah, he's
Hilarious.
Yeah.
And he's entrepreneurial too. You should have him on your podcast.
Love to.
Because he started an entire business where he does corporate speaking. It's sort of like team building speaking, but he uses improv based fundamentals for all of those concepts. And he's got huge clientele. He's all over. He's nationally traveling all of the time and talking to
Pitch
gigantic.
it, man. I'd love to have him on.
He would do it. He would do it in a heartbeat.
Yeah. No, I remember him. Red Curb. I wish everybody would go all the time. I cannot say this passionately enough. The talent you guys have is off the chain. Corey. I love Corey.
Yeah.
I love Will.
Will Collier, yep. Corey Bensley, yep.
I mean, I don't have them all memorized.
Will Collier's like your favorite. You've said that
dude,
before.
He's
out of control.
I go up to him, I'm like, dude, you think you're sexier than me, but you ain't. And we feed off. He's a good looking dude, right?
Yeah.
And he's in shape, all that stuff. I'm not. And I'm like,
do you know what he does? He's a doctor. He's a new doctor.
Oh, is he really?
Yeah. Yeah.
Is
Hilarious.
he really?
And he came to us, like, Colby had coached him in high school, and then he, went to school or whatever and came and started doing classes at Red Curb right before the pandemic. And we were trying to form a house team. And so he was obviously a standout in that.
He's a doctor?
Yeah.
That's insane.
He's a medical. You could ask him about your gout or whatever, or he's an ER doctor.
Really?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Dude, he's hilarious. Everybody's hilarious. I'm being for real. There's not one person on there that I'm like, they're all funny. Everybody's funny. And it takes somebody that's super, super, super smart to do that. Because you got to think on the fly. I mean, you guys are rapping, making stuff up. You don't know what. Every show is truly different. I've been to probably, I don't know, a lot of them.
Yeah.
And
we appreciate that. Thank you.
I don't say it for that. Thank you.
No, but I do say
what
that.
I'm saying is every show truly is different.
Yeah.
I mean, there may be formats that are similar, but it's really about the crowd. Who's going to get up there? Who's the day in the life? Who's all that stuff? And it
what are
blows
the
me away.
suggestions for the night?
Yeah.
And what's the vibe of the crowd? Because the thing you may or may not realize, and maybe you realize it now having gone to many shows, that the entertainment just isn't in the games that we're playing. It's also in creating the party atmosphere with the crowd.
Yeah.
So it feels like we're all in it together.
Yeah.
And so, like, all of those moments in between, the hosting moments, the commentary in between, us talking about the scene that just went on, like just us talking to the crowd, that's all crafted to be part of the entertainment of the night, part of the fun of the night.
we just had our Christmas party. Carrie always, she's like, we're going to Red Curb. I always say, the people that work with me, I let them do their thing. I don't tell them what to do. I mean, we have goals. We got to get all our stuff done. But Carrie always wants the Christmas party, and I do too. We all do. But if it wasn't for her, it wouldn't be what it is. And I tell you what, every year it's doubled in terms of people actually coming. I think this year we had 60-something, and only half of them showed up. We invited more than that. But every show that we go to is even more funny. And I didn't even think it could get funnier. Chris Monroe, our plumber, he's a big comedian guy. He's like, dude, I'm ready. You know how he talked. Well, you had him up there. Day in the life of Chris Monroe, and he still talks about that to this day.
Does he really?
He's like, dude, I had the best time of my life. Blah, blah, blah. I'm gonna stay at the late show, and I like to be in bed by like 9:30.
Yeah,
and it was it Friday or Saturday night?
We pumped him full of comedy adrenaline.
He's lighting me up.
Kept him alive.
Jen's driving me home because I had a couple beers, and he's like, man, you better come back to this late show. It's gonna be fun. I said, man, I'm too old for that shit. And Jen goes, let's just go. I said, fine, let's go.
So smart. Jen's so smart.
Again. Why do I have her on? I'm kidding.
I'm just trying to butter her up for your
thanks a lot.
Your bout later.
She will be on. I promise. Maybe after Smiley.
Yeah.
We'll bring her on after that. But we went there, and that guy, he eats that up. He needs to, I said, be on the Red Curb team. They probably entertain it. I don't know.
Yeah.
I need him as a plumber though, so don't steal him.
Oh, trust me, this is not a full-time job, Ryan. I think
Yeah.
we've demonstrated that.
Well, I don't know about that.
I mean, even if you're in the Meccas, everybody has a different gig to support themselves. I mean, improv's awesome. It's fantastic.
But it kind of ties back to that thing I was sharing with Brooklyn. Like, if you have aspirations to be Taylor Swift or whoever, actually don't be Taylor Swift, because there's only one Taylor Swift. There's only one Brooklyn Basham.
Yeah.
That's why I encourage people. Now, don't be like anybody but you.
Yeah.
You can feed off of people and get,
learn the lessons.
Learn, all that stuff from them, but be yourself, right?
That's the only way you're ever going to break through.
Yeah.
It's like you could tell, like, if you're trying to replicate somebody else's success and try to be them, you're not ever going to be as good as that thing you're replicating.
And you won't be fulfilled.
Because you're not. You got to take it and innovate. You got to be who you are and find your own voice and all of those things. It's the same thing in comedy or, coaching or whatever. Like, you got to find your own way that people connect with.
How do you? I'll ask a couple questions because I think most people might have them. If you're having a bad day. You can't have a bad day doing what you do. You have to fake it.
Yeah.
If you're having the worst day of your life, you still got to put on a smile and perform. How do you guys get through that?
I think that a lot of times, if you ask a lot of comedians this, that sometimes the negative fuels your comedy because it's the way that you've persevered through life. It's hard to live in to struggle. Like we talked about, you struggle through certain things. You don't have certain things. You see other people are making dumb choices and it impacts you. And like, you could either be shitty and pissed and miserable, or you can like let it bounce off of you. You can comment on it in a way that makes it joyful for you or makes it funny. And I think a lot of comedians, a lot of comedy minded people use comedy to persevere. So in a lot of times, if you're having a shitty day, sometimes that can like generate the satirical bone in your body where you're like just going to be a little more sarcastic.
Yes.
Or you're just going to like try to, work it in some way where you can address it in a positive way.
Yeah.
I think that Colby does this a lot and nobody ever would know, but you have these conversations before the show and he's an entrepreneur and at tax time, he got fucked over, right? Like independent contractor.
Oh yeah. Did you say tax time?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. And so he was like ranting about this. And then in the show that night, he did a whole song about tax liabilities, like just in the Spotify game or something. And it just happened to work out, right?
Yeah.
It was one of those moments where he was working through that frustration in the most hilarious way, but he had the most detailed information about submitting independent contractor taxes in that song that anybody could, because it was this furious thing that he was dealing with at the time. And it made people laugh, and that helps you go, we're all coping with that.
Yeah. Yeah. That's beautiful, because I think a lot of the younger generation needs to hear that, because there's beauty in just being who. revealing your day. Like just, I'm having a shitty day, but I still got to work, right?
Yeah.
You can't sit around and cry about it. Nobody gives a shit about your problems.
Yeah, well, there's something you posted on Facebook that I really like. It's like your slogan or something. It's like nobody cares.
Work harder. Yeah.
Work harder, nobody cares or something like that.
I'm about to change it. Instead of having my face on my Facebook profile, like if you want to know why I put that on there, I was just, as an entrepreneur, sometimes you do feel like you're on an island. I just had one of my Mount Rushmore guys, Alan Eshy, on, and I'm going to have him back on, but he's like, you should never feel alone as a leader. I'm not sure I asked the question correctly, or maybe I misheard it, but there's days you feel alone.
Yeah, for sure.
And there's days, and that's the place where I love to live, man. I love living with my back against the wall. Mm-hmm. I love having people coming at me, flinging arrows at me. And I love it when it's super, super hard to do. You know? If it's not extremely hard, and I have very little support, and I have a lot of negativity, I am most comfortable there.
Really?
Yeah. I crave it.
Because it challenges you to have to use all of your skill to navigate it.
It's all on my shoulders.
Yeah.
So like Basham Construction, I'm not going to get too deep in the weeds with it, but it's a fight or flight. Like it's a zero failure mentality. I can't lose. I can't.
Yeah.
I have a family to take care of. I have other people that depend on me for work, to feed their families.
Yeah.
And then also I got the cut. There's so many aspects. Things are always coming at you. I don't look at like some of the great contractors in this area are friends of mine. A lot of these guys think we all have to be enemies. Like some of my closer friends are my competitors, and when they win, I'm like, dude, good for you, man. I'm actually happy for them.
Yeah, I think that is a cultural thing that needs to disappear.
That's what we're working on.
The sense that like, but it is a capitalistic mentality though, where you're like, if I'm not going to get that piece, then they are. But in reality, if you're all doing quality work and support each other, you're going to then go, oh, Ryan does this particular thing better. But I do this particular, and it's the same way. Like I've been talking about that with the improv scene for so long, is that we're all tiny little theaters.
Yeah.
And improv is just this esoteric, specific art form, and it attracts a certain kind of person. Hopefully it expands as people start to learn about it. But in the end, like there has been like a little bit of friction of like, we're doing this thing, you're doing that thing, and we're all competing for the same audience. It's like, no, why don't we just like push our formats between all of the theaters? Why don't we train the people who are interested in improv together and like build the community up? And I think more and more people think that way in other industries now too. But that cutthroat competitive mentality, it just is. No, I think it's regressive.
Yeah, I agree. I'm as competitive as they get, but I'm also like, it's not all about me. It's not all about Basham. It's not all about whoever. I love seeing people work hard to win, period. Mm-hmm. And if that doesn't put $1 in my pocket, I don't give a shit. I'm still rooting for you.
Yeah.
And earning and gaining respect from those that you're chasing. Like I've got a couple uncles that are super successful. Uncle Johnny is super successful. He's super weird because he's a Basham. He's hilarious.
Uh-huh. And
every time I talk to him, I mean, you can go through my messages. I'm like, I'm chasing you, motherfucker. And he laughs at me. He's like, yeah, I know. I was like, no, bro, I'm coming at you.
Yeah.
I'm not coming physically at you, but you've inspired me. I want to chase you, and I want to be you or better. Like, that's a positive thing. Knowing what he's worth, it ain't probably ever going to happen.
Yeah.
But I'm not going to quit. I'm gonna chase him. I want to be the best at what I'm doing. Period.
Right.
And I want to bring people up with me. And
it's not with the intent to take away from what he's built or what he has or to hurt him in any way. It's more of like,
it's an inspiration.
It's like, what is that? Imitation is the highest form of flattery.
Yes.
That whole deal. Yep. Like, it's the same thing. It's like, you're an inspirational figure to me and I want to achieve your success or better.
Yes.
Like, that's complimentary.
It's a compliment. Yeah. There you go. You said it better than I did. That's kind of the mindset. Red Curb is moving. What's happening next with Red Curb?
So during the course of Red Curb, I became a father. We had 2 children enter into our family. Yeah, it was
Beautiful
awesome.
Yep.
And that was a long process because it was the adoption process for us, which we've been very public about that story. But we finally were able to build our family, and we had 2 kiddos come along almost as soon as Red Curb opened. Lincoln came in 2015, so he was already there by the time Red Curb, and then Marin in 2019. But as they've gotten older, they've never known a weekend where I haven't had to split my attention between either making sure the theater was running or actually literally being there to perform. And the weekend's like all the family time we have. So we're both working during the week. You know, the kids come home from school, they might have an activity or 2, but on the weekends is where you can really like dig into stuff. And we were never really able to do spontaneous things, especially on a Saturday, because I'd always have to be concerned about ticket sales and administration and making sure like the shows were going to be up and running. And so it became more energy than it was worth losing to not have time with the kids as they're growing up. So Adrian's like, we need to like figure out an adjustment here, rebalance. And she was home every Saturday with the kids, you know, so she was the at-home parent on Saturday nights when I was going out to go like do my fun shows. And so it just became like, we need to figure out how to rebalance this. And, you know, the $3 bill model, we had always used other venues. I know everybody in town now after having done this forever. And so I was like, I could set up a different model where we're going to be in a good place and be able to keep the company alive, and I can redirect my energy.
Okay.
And so that's where the inspiration to move came from. So we're moving downtown. It's called the IF Theater. It's what used to be called the Indie Fringe Theater, which is where $3 Bill did that successful run years ago. And it has a new executive director named Paul Daly, and I just met with him. I was like, hey, we're just a turnkey performing our organization. We'll do the marketing. We have a drop-in show. We're on Mass Ave. This is going to fit the community and the culture here. And it's good for me because it's one Saturday a month to start, and I can have my other weekends.
That's nice. Yeah.
Yeah. And
so
we'll
go
have
one show a month?
Yeah.
Red Curb?
To start.
Okay, to start.
And I had pitched an expansion plan. I'm like, if this sells out and there's a demand to go back, like for an all ages show again, we'll add like maybe a small all ages show on that Saturday, like sort of like what we're doing now, and then put the late show or the adult show after that. But it really was a proactive decision to kind of like free up more time for me from a family standpoint and keep the company alive.
Yeah, no, that's a good move. I think you need balance. It's hard to do it all.
Yeah. Well, and I'm already doing the radio show, and as radio has become what radio is, we're being asked to do more and more across the board to keep radio functioning.
Yeah.
So that's been an interesting transition too.
Man. So what's your next 15 years look like? What's your aspirations? What's driving you?
Man, I'm hoping that it's all about getting the kids raised, and doing incredible things with the family.
That's our priority, right?
Yeah.
Everything else.
That's really what my 15 years looks like.
Yeah.
And I like the show is solid. The Smiley morning show is solid. That'll keep going as long as radio keeps going.
Yep.
I don't fear.
Radio's not going away.
Yeah, I don't fear for that. Red Curb and improv comedy, especially in Indianapolis, I can continue to make things there, but we have a nice anchor with the IF Theater to start, and who knows where that'll go.
Yeah.
John and I do Dudesicle, that 2-man musical that we've been doing since 2015, and we've taken that to festivals and colleges and things around the country, and now that my weekends are open, we're already booked to go to a Miami festival in January, and so we might do more with
Florida?
Miami, Florida?
Oh, that's cool.
Yeah. Yeah, so we went and did a festival in Columbus, Ohio. The Miami Theater was up there. They saw our show. They're like, you got to come do our festival.
Didn't you and John go to Vegas for something?
We did do a Vegas show. Yeah. So we went out there for the When We Were Young concert, and while we were there, we did a Dudesicle.
Oh, that's right.
Yeah, we at the Comedy Sports out there. Yeah.
Yeah, your music interest is similar to mine. We're from the same era. So yeah,
I love that show. If you ever want to go, I want to go back this year to that festival. It was incredible. I
want to go to Vegas for the IBS, IBS is a bowel issue.
Yeah, it is. Yeah.
Indiana.
You want to go? I gotta get irritable bowel syndrome in Vegas. Well, you probably could with the
building something, or it's a construction thing in February in Vegas. It's an excuse to get the hell out of here. But
that's great. That's really what all those things are.
I'm hoping that is the same time as that concert. Maybe not, but there's plenty to do out there. Yeah.
More than enough.
That's interesting. Anything else you want to talk about before we wrap this baby
No,
up?
man. I'm happy to come back anytime and talk. If you
we
come
want
up
you
with
back.
something,
Tell
or if
everybody-
like we do like a Smiley morning show version of this, that would be fun.
Let's do it. I mean,
Yeah.
we're open to anything. I just want to keep this going. Keep people interested in what we're doing. Have awesome people like yourself on. I'd love to have Dave on. Anybody else from the show? I'll ask you to maybe ask some people.
Yeah, I'll start to like be your booker. I used to,
do
you know,
that.
I used
Just
to do
say,
that
hey,
for Bob and
Bash
Tom.
needs you and have one of them text me, and Jeff will line it up. Anybody that's that doesn't know Jeff, he wears many hats. He does a lot of videography, Campfire Video Solutions. Does a wonderful job there. Anybody that needs that for their business, I would highly recommend him. He produces this show too, so it's interesting to have two producers in here.
Yeah, right.
I don't know.
This is Jeff's
this
domain.
is Jeff's studio.
Yeah,
He,
it's beautiful. It's awesome.
what he's done
this
in
is
here.
like your place. Yeah, this is really nice.
So everybody that comes in here, I don't think they understand the professionalism. Who did I? Oh, Alan was probably the best. He's like, "What are we gonna do? Sit in your garage or something?" I said, "Yeah." I said, "Yeah, that's what we're doing." So I sent him a
It's
link.
like Mark Maron.
Yeah,
Yeah.
He comes up here. He goes, "Wow, this is legit." I'm like, "Jeff, don't mess around. Everything he does is legit and professional." So we thank you, Jeff, for doing everything you do and making this show a success. Anyway, I guess we'll wrap this thing up. I thank you so much for being on.
Thanks for having me. It was fun. I love doing this.
I appreciate our friendship.
Me too.
And I like where we're headed with everything. So if you guys follow his stuff on social media, listen to the Smiley Show. Just get engaged. Like I said, hit the subscribe button. Hit us up in the comments if anybody wants to be on the show. Any topics, any feedback, we'd love to hear from you. So I'm not hard to find. Figure it out. You guys have a great day and Merry Christmas.